You talked about how John Calvin's ideas were quite out there for his time. What do you think religion was used for before John Calvin?
Well, personally, I'm an agnostic, so don't confuse me with religious people just because I know a lot about them. But I think religion was just a slightly more sane prior to Protestantism, because whether you believe in morality or not, I myself don't believe in morality. I think the morality pre-Calvin was just a little bit saner, I'd say, than Calvin's morality. And that's not to say that I have great disagreements with Christian morality, Catholic morality, and Hindu or Buddhist morality or Muslim morality. But at least none of them said that money was an end in of itself. At least they realized that we should try to live a slightly balanced life instead of a completely imbalanced life. And at least they said that that greed wasn't a virtue, which is basically what John Calvin said, that greed was a virtue. And a lot of what John Calvin and Christianity says today, even though I disagree with a lot of what Christianity says, is completely different from what Jesus actually taught. Jesus taught that the material, to store your material possessions in heaven, not on earth. To build your treasures there, and not your actual material possessions, but to build your treasures in heaven as opposed to earth, because here everything decays and everything dies off. And Jesus said a lot of things that were contrary to our modern day capitalist money society, and I don't think that's talked about anymore. We just talk about how Jesus wanted everybody to be rich now.
Why do you think we don't ask why anymore? Why do you think we just try to learn the how?
Well, it's a complicated question, but I think people aren't interested in why anymore. People used to be interested in wisdom, philosophy, religion, whether they be atheists or not, or theists. But I think values aren't important today. The why isn't important today. It's just technology is important today. Business is important today. Economics are important today. And I think that just has to go back to the society that the Northern Europeans, like the Northern French and the Germans and the Anglo-Saxons and the Scots, they wanted to create a society without values of any kind, whether they be hedonistic or virtuous or whatever. They wanted to create a society that was focused solely on means rather than ends. And you can see that in our school system today. We teach kids how to make money. We teach kids abstract things like mathematics and science. And I think prior to the last couple hundred years, we wanted to teach kids more ethical matters or religious matters, or we talked more about those things. And now we just teach them abstractions, and I think that just has to do with the Spock-like mind of the Northern European race, and how he's enforced that on his children and many other societies.
How about science? They're coming up with new stuff all the time. Technology, like you said, that's the focus. Why do you think that is in comparison? Why do you think they focus on just, learning more even when they don't have to? Yeah. I think we have enough technology to be comfortable now. Why do you think they keep pursuing it?
Well, science has no ends. It only has means. Science is quantity of knowledge, not quality. Science isn't pragmatic like philosophy or religion is. It doesn't pursue knowledge that will help human beings understand how to live life. It just pursues knowledge endlessly. And it's really a product of the Northern European races, once again. And it has to do with how we pursue money endlessly without really knowing why we pursue it or how to put money to use, how to put work to use to better ourselves. We just say, no, money is an end in and of itself. It's good in and of itself. And that's what we do with science. We say knowledge is a good in and of itself. And we should just keep learning more and more and more. Everything. We want to know everything about the world around us. Whereas philosophy, and that was started by the Greeks, and religion by the Jews and the Indians, was more pragmatic. It was more interested in ethical questions and how to live. So I think philosophy and religion are actually a lot more beneficial to mankind than mathematics or science has been. I mean, what has science really done for us anyway? It's given us the atom bomb. It's given us plastic surgery. It's given us a whole bunch of useless fucking inventions that we don't need. It's given us the car. What the hell has that done for us, you know?
Destroying the planet as we speak?
Yeah. I think if scientists want to help the planet, they should just stop thinking. Because everything they think about ends up being used for garbage anyway, so...
Or there's a dependency for it.
Yeah.
If it's useful, you know, cars can be useful, but what about when oil runs out?
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole other issue.
We're gonna need to prepare for that.
Yeah.
They think there's a bottomless well of resources, not
cheap,
just oil.
Endless oil, cheap, endless resources. Yeah. Well, there's definitely a limit to our society of progress, and definitely a limit to growth in society. And the society we have, because it's such an imbalanced society that's constantly based on getting more and more, having more children, consuming more goods, producing more technologies. When we need more and more energy, we require more and more energy in our lives because we want more and more products that we don't need. And eventually this energy is going to run out. And we can see that this endless greed that humans have is completely unsustainable. And a lot of people blame capitalism for this, but I don't think capitalism is the real issue. Because, as we know, the Romans had a certain amount of capitalism, and other civilizations did. I don't think capitalism is a central issue. I think it's greed. I think it's more of a personal issue. Humans are greedy. And it doesn't matter what political system they have. As long as they're friggin' greedy, they're going to keep on keeping on. And I think we need to teach ourselves how to be more content with little. And that's the only thing that's going to be able to sustain ourselves into the 21st century. Because at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to last.